Hi, everyone. Welcome to this video. I'm Mark DeJesus, and today what I'd like to be able to talk to you about is the 7 things that you can address during a sabbatical season. As of the recording of this video, I'm going to be taking a short sabbatical. Many times people, when they take sabbaticals, it can be for a number of months. I'm going to be taking one till about mid-July, but I wanted to share in this video, and I've shared in another video where I've talked about the power of rest, what it means to live in rest, what it looks like to have rest in your life, not only moments of rest, seasons of rest, but also to live internally with the power of God's rest in your life, which is the greatest privilege that we have. But I feel that God is calling many to certain sabbatical breaks, meaning that it may not look like what I'm doing. It may not look like what others do. You may think, well, I don't have the ability to do that. And I don't know, I would challenge that because I think God may be calling many of you to a break, to a ceasing, it's time to take a pause, to look at some things, to work on some things. And I want to give you 7 things that can be important to those who are saying, you know what, I'm ready to do the dive. I'm ready to allow God to work on some areas of my heart. I want to be healthy for the long haul. I want to be heart healthy, emotionally healthy for the long haul. And if you're that kind of person, there may be some kind of break that God is calling you into. And so I want to talk here about 7 things you can address during a sabbatical season. This isn't everything, but these are some things that can be very, very helpful. Now, if the videos and content that I create are encouraging for your life, for your journey, consider going to markdejesus.com. Go to the donate button. Consider becoming a one-time supporter or a regular supporter. We even have a partnership tribe where you can, through your support, you can also gain access to other materials and great resources that can be a blessing to your life and to your journey. All right, so let's get into these. What's the first one that's going to need to be addressed in your life? Number 1 is the pace of your life. And actually, this is the hardest one because the greatest goal of these kind of sabbatical seasons is slow down. Slow down. I mention this to people when it comes to heart healing and heart transformation in a variety of aspects of ways. The first step you're going to have to, if you want to be heart healthy, if you want to heal from some things in the past, if you want to address things in your life in a meaningful way with God, you're going to have to address your pace of life. And I actually find that this can be the hardest because we as modern culture, we love the fast pace of life. We're addicted to it. We love performance, achievement, all this stuff that we base our lives around. Now, I'm going to tell you the honest truth. For most people, it is easier. You know, we value hard work, and I think hard work is great. But for most people, it is easier to say, here's a list of 5 things that you need to do today. Now go out and get it. It's actually easier to do that than to go, here's what you need to do today. You need to slow down. You need to get quiet. And you need to start tuning your senses to just listen to what God is saying, but get down to nothingness, get down to quiet. That is actually more challenging. The fight to go slow is one of the greatest battles. But during a sabbatical break of any kind, it causes you to slow down. And here's the thing, you slow down by your choice. And God forbid, something forces you to slow down. You see, so many times it takes a crash or it takes something happening. And I really believe one of the chronic patterns that's killing us is chronic busyness. And for some of you, taking breaks, it may take you days, weeks, just to get to a place where you can slow down enough to go, okay, I think I can start hearing from God. Many people think their pace of life is pretty decent. Until you actually slow it down, you realize the buzz that's taking place. Slowing down is going to be very, very critical and very important because in that, the next level, as we dive deeper, is facing yourself. Now, when I say facing yourself, I don't mean beating yourself up, condemning yourself, guilt and shame, and just spiraling in self-hatred. I'm talking about facing yourself in the love of grace of God, but being honest with yourself. I find in our constant busyness, we live as a culture where we avoid ourselves. We avoid facing what's really going on. We avoid getting honest with ourselves. We avoid seeing what's going on and happening in our lives and our relationships. We deny stuff. We suppress. We soldier on. And we just don't face things. And that suppressed stuff is hurting us. It's hindering our journey. And so there's an opportunity to face pain, to face most people, when they slow down, they become aware of a deep emptiness that's there for whatever reason, that God wants to mature and heal and be present in and be involved in. But our constant go, go, go performance world keeps us from the jewels of what we can experience. But we got to be willing to face ourselves. We got to be honest about pain, honest about emptiness, honest about your motives. Why do you do what you do? Many times we think we know why we do what we do. We attach great motives to everything we do, right? And then when you get quiet and slow down, you realize, you know what? I do a lot to just please people. I do a lot because if I don't have something to do, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know what to do if I don't have something to offer in achievement. I can't belong unless I have something that I can show in my portfolio. I won't be loved unless I achieve and do it right or do it well. Those kind of things begin to come to the surface. The third thing I've found in sabbatical moments of any kind is it teaches us to get back to the fundamentals. That as we slow down, as we quiet, you reevaluate what's important. You realign your energy. All God is doing is not complicated. Everything God is doing is back to the fundamentals, back to his love, back to the simplicity of what it means to be loved, to live in his grace, to just have a first love relationship with him and let it flow out in your relationship with others, to live by the fruit of the Spirit. We live in such a machine, complicated, complex world of living. It's time to get back to the fundamentals. Now, you can stay in your busy machine life and keep going and keep going and keep going. God's patient. He's not condemning you. He's not beating you up. But he loves you. And he wants you to experience the simplicity of his love and grace. And quite often, in our busy living, we get complicated. Everything gets complicated and overwhelming. It's time to get back to the fundamentals. It's time to get back to what matters. It's time to get back to what's really important. The fourth thing that you can experience during times of sabbatical is to process the previous season, meaning that many of you are in transition. Maybe if you've left a line of work, or you've left an organization, or you had to move on from a church or move on from a community. Maybe you had to move on geographically. Maybe you had to move on from a loss. Maybe you had to leave a marriage that was toxic and you're transitioning out of that. Or maybe you lost a loved one, or you're in a season where there's many who are becoming aware of there's stuff that happened years ago. I need to address. I need to face. I need to heal. And I need some help with that. And so during a break season, you may say, you know what, I need some intentional help to work on some areas of my life and process through some things that I thought I was doing great and I was just moving on and soldiering on, but I need some tools. I need some understanding because I'm recognizing that some of that stuff's affecting me. Number 5 is that you get a chance to get to know who you really are. When you take a break from work, when you take a break from, maybe it's ministry work, maybe you're taking a break from actual work, whatever that looks like, it's an opportunity to understand, who am I? It's about identity, because who you are is not based primarily on what you do, even though most of us do that. Your worth, your value is based on what you do and what you present. No, your worth is being a loved son or daughter of God. This is an opportunity to give back to the fundamentals of, where do I get love? Where do I receive love? Maybe you need to detox performance-based living in your life. Maybe you need to detox from the constant buzz of busyness where you always have to have something going on to stimulate your mind because silence is deafening. It's time to get back to understanding what it means to be loved as God's child. During sabbatical seasons, it's time to let go of unnecessary things. At the beginning of this year, I didn't take a sabbatical break, but I took a pause for a few days. And I said, it's time for me to let go of some unnecessary things. I need to start saying no to some more things. And I intentionally started to align in this year, what are some things I'm just going to say no to? That I'm just not going to spend my energy into. I've wasted a lot of energy into it, investing into it. What's my yes going to be and what's my no going to be? So my yes can be yes and my no can be no, and no more just waffling and just responding to fires and crisis of life, because that's what we often do. We just react to everything rather than intentionally establishing, here's where I'm going to head with my life. Now, Christians, I need to say something very clearly. There's a lot of good things that you may need to let go of. They're just not for your season. They're not for where you're at. They're not for this time. Christians are notorious for, it all sounds good, so let's just do it all. And if we look honestly at all our Christian activity of any kind, are there things where it's like, it's great, it's wonderful, but is this really what God is calling me into? And it's caused me to get honest, to get down to the fundamentals, to get down to the simple, basic things. That here's what I sense God is working on in this season, and I'm going to let go of everything else. Sabbatical breaks allow that because it allows you to let go of the clutter. And even at the filming of this video, the world has been in a pandemic situation. There's been quarantine pause. There's been a lot of time of going, okay, what are we going to do now? And what's this next season going to look like? And I've mentioned to so many people, it's a great time to let go of things that just don't matter and are just not a priority and are just not the priority that what God has in your life. And many believers aren't even asking the question. They just kind of just keep going in the realm and the hamster wheel of chronic busyness. So this is a good season to let go of unnecessary things in your life. And I find one of the great fruits that can come out of it is reconnecting back to enjoyment and fulfillment. One of the complaints of many believers is they say, you know what, I just don't want to be fun. I'm not enjoying anything. Now, they may be going through chronic depression. They may be going through burnout. They may be going through some really challenging things that they're facing in their life, but they lost the joy and enjoyment. And that's one of the signs that it's time to take a break is when you've lost joy and enjoyment in your life and you recognize, you know what, it's not here. I need to recalibrate relationally with God. I need to recalibrate relationally with myself. I need to recalibrate relationally with those that are important relationships around me so that I can recenter and get back to what it means to live in the enjoyment of God and to live in fulfillment, because your life was meant to be a fulfilling rhythm of being loved by God, to love yourself the way that he loves you, to love your neighbor as yourself, and to allow there to be a healthy flow of love through your life. Most believers are trying to love God, but they haven't learned how to really receive his love. And they spend their life loving other people, but they don't know how to love themselves and receive God's love. So they live in a cycle of burnout. It's time that you enter into rest. In my own journey, I felt God for at least 3 years was discipling me on the subject of rest. And every time I would pray and seek God, it was, God, what are you putting in my heart and life? And it was rest. I want to teach you what it means. And it wasn't just about taking naps or making sure you get enough sleep. And those are great things. It was about the rhythm of my life. It wasn't just about make sure you take enough breaks or take a day off. Because many people take days off, but they don't live in rest. And their days off are not refreshing. It's about learning to live in the atmosphere of rest. And so many of these sabbatical seasons I've taken allow me to learn at a deeper level. God, teach me relationally. I'm going to let go of the yokes of all the things that often pull at our attention. And I'm just going to let you show me who I am and face things in my heart and slow down and get back to the fundamentals and learn what it means to have the simplicity of enjoyment and simplify life again. I pray this is a blessing to your life. If you feel these resources are helpful and beneficial, would you take a moment to share it? Would you also take a moment to consider donating and helping to support? Right now, one of the great materials you can get is the Heart Healing Journey if you want to go deeper and experience some fruitful transformation in your life. If you want to learn how to receive God's love, and that's a struggle, and learn to love yourself the way that he loves you to enhance your relationship world, I've worked on a project that is near and dear to my heart, and that is God loves me and I love myself. It could be a great aspect for you to recalibrate how to live in the flow of God's love. But either way, I look forward to blessing you with future materials, and I look forward to bringing you great stuff when I actually come back from a sabbatical season. God bless you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.